And welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Chaos Head. In the last episode, Takumi Nichijou came face to face with the stranger calling himself Shogun, who gave Takumi an ominous warning at the heart of the Shibuya Scramble Crossing. To not turn his eyes away from what is happening in Shibuya, especially as far as the new gen crimes are concerned. Shortly afterwards, Shogun vanished into the darkness, at least for the moment, leaving Takumi alone in the empty street, which, bizarrely enough, turned out to be not so empty when everyone suddenly reappeared. It was, in fact, Takumi having some bizarre pseudo-hallucination that caused him to perceive this. But in any event, things have supposedly returned to normal in Shibuya, except for the fact that out of the blue, Rimi Sakihata intervened to save Takumi from suddenly being run over on the pedestrian crossing by multiple cars. And this simple act has finally begun to shatter the chains around Takumi Nichijou's heart concerning Rimi Sakihata, because up until this point, Takumi, ever since the hallucination at the alleyway during the third New Gen incident, had believed that Rimi was a demon who was not only the New Gen criminal, but also out to silence and murder him. And now, with Rimi's compassion and sincerity, all of Takumi's beliefs have been scattered into the wind. Of course, meanwhile, at the Shibuya Police Department, the investigative teams are still working on the recent New Gen incidents. Yasuji Ban ruminated bitterly over this as he gazed out upon the detectives gathered in the Shibuya Police Department's large conference room. And sadly, he is not the only one who is bitter about this cross-jurisdiction squabble. The the Inco this is going to be really long to say because of course police case names are often very long to say. The Inokashira Line Shibuya Station public bathroom homicide. See what I mean? Or as the media called it with amusement, the Vampire House case had truly led to a grave personnel shortage. This is probably the only time in which the press have actually gave a bizarre case an actual palatable title. Silly as it is, it's much shorter than the name given to it by the police. No, I'm not saying it again. With three brutal murder cases having occurred in the same jurisdiction, and in close succession, the chances of them all being the work of the same criminal were at last growing higher, despite the fact that three victims, no, four victims, sorry. There are four, not three. I'm getting muddled up here. No, wait, there aren't four victims. There aren't four victims because in the first incident there were five victims, so that brings the total up to 10, I think. Yeah. Some argued that the Cornelius Tower group suicide case should be left to the juvenile division, but due to how the media treated it as part of New Gen, there was the possibility that the police would become targets of criticism if they made it an exception. In other words, the police have their hands tied. And so it was perhaps natural that the central office had selected the one choice remaining to them, which was to combine the various investigation headquarters. I cannot speak today. which actually, despite the, it might seem convoluted and clunky to begin with, but with each of the various departments actually pooling their resources to actually tie everything together, there is the possibility that some might actually see patterns where others have completely overlooked them. But this is only a thought. At the moment, as part of the integration process, the sequential new-gen cases were being re-examined one by one. Maybe somebody might pick up on something that was overlooked. I wonder. The screen at the head of the conference room reflected a series of photographs of the crime scenes. Suwa had been singled out to explain everything, because Ban, for all his detective prowess, is a bit of a lazy sod. There is no beating around that fact. Yesterday, the two of them had stayed up all night putting their heads together over documents related to the 4 cases. Good work, Ban muttered internally, chin propped up on his hands. I think it would actually help Sua's pride and also his ego to actually hear those words in person there, Ban.
コーネリアスタワー集団投身自殺事件の発生は9月7日っす。です。
So the first case occurred September 7th. So once again, I have to baffle myself over the rather bizarre way in which the police name their cases.
ニュージェネとマスコミが故障している4つの事件の中では一番最初に発生してます。午後11時半ごろ、渋谷コーネリアスタワー屋上のヘリポートから男女5人が転落、全員死亡しました。5人は全員未成年の高校生、男が3人、女が2人。ただし5人のうち男女1人ずつだけが同じ学校なだけで、それ以外の3人はいずれも別の学校でした。
In other words, there wasn't that much of a connection between the 5 victims of the first case.
5人それぞれの爪の間にわずかな肉片が残っており、手のひらに引っかき傷があったことが司法解剖で判明しました。そこから5人は互いに手をつないだ状態で転落したと推測されます。
I'm only going to interject here and there because Suwa is actually going to do a really good job of explaining, or rather summarizing, the cases up until the recent one.
屋上には遺書らしきものはなし。被害者5人は学校帰りに待ち合わせてコーネリアスタワーへ向かったようです。なお、事件性があることを示す根拠としては、コーネリアスタワー屋上が関係者以外立ち入り禁止であったことが挙げられます。事件があった時間、屋上への扉は施錠されており、その扉のドアノブに被害者5人の指紋は付着してませんでした。
Yeah, that little mystery has still not been explained or resolved by any police investigations.
また、5人の遺品からも扉の鍵は見つかっていません。
And yet somehow, despite the fact that there was no physical way for them to even be there if the door was locked, much less them not having a key. Now there is one possible logical explanation, and I wonder if Suwa might be thinking along similar lines. I know I would be if if anyone were thinking along the same lines as Phoenix Wright from the Ace Attorney series.
このことから被害者以外の第三者が事件前後にその現場にいた可能性があります。
So in other words, how do you explain how 5 people who didn't have the key to the locked door were somehow able to be on the roof of a building that was locked? The only rational explanation, a bit of a long shot though it is, can easily be explained by the fact that there could very well have been a 6th person who had accompanied them thus far. It is sadly, however, only a circumstantial theory, and some people might ask there could very well have been a seventh or eighth person, by which that too is a very plausible, albeit a low-odd plausible theory. Of course, if the door was locked, actually no, I was thinking something else, but depending on whether or not the sixth person did in fact have the key needed to unlock the door, it doesn't actually matter which side of the door is locked, unless the lock is a certain way, but this is just me sort of speculating at this point.
その第三者が扉の鍵を持っており、事件前あるいは事件後に鍵を閉めて立ち去ったという線で捜査を続けています。
In other words, this is exactly the same line that the investigation teams are following, and it is very sensible that they are.
コーネリアスタワーのホテル従業員全員への聞き取り調査は終了。ほぼ全員にアリバイがありました。今はタワーに入っている企業の社員に話を聞いているところです。
So everyone working there has an alibi.
被害者たち5人には今のところ自殺する理由は見つかっていません。
You also have yet to discover a reason of why they were even there in the first place.
家族、友人、学校の教師など5人中4人の関係者が口を揃えて自殺する理由などないと断言しています。
And yet, for reasons presently unknown, all 5 of these victims are in fact dead. Oh dear. The slide changed to switching to the second case, the Shibuya Station college student and fetus homicide.
続いて通称妊娠男事件についてですが、事件発生は9月19日、通称集団ダイブ事件から12日後。第一発見者は現場近くのカラオケ店店員、遺体発見は午前5時前後。被害者は渋谷区在住の大学3年生、近衛千鶴夫21歳。発見された時にはすでに死亡してました。死亡推定時刻は遺体発見の約4時間前、19日の午前1時頃です。遺体は腹部が不自然に大きく膨れ上がっており、中から胎児が発見されました。司法解剖の結果、被害者は生きたまま腹部を何者かに切開され、胃の中に胎児を入れられたようです。胎児はすでにその時点で亡くなっていたと思われます。被害者が死亡したのは腹部を縫合された後、縫合した部分をかきむしったり、縫合糸を一部引きちぎった形跡が見られました。胎児は妊娠8ヶ月ぐらいの状態で、母親の体から帝王切開で取り上げられたと考えられます。胎児の母親については今のところ見つかってません。その生死についても不明です。 DNA 鑑定の結果、胎児と被害者には血縁関係はありませんでした。ちなみに胎児の血液型は B 型、被害者の血液型は A 型です。
Now, for this particular case, I haven't been speaking due to the macabre nature of what has transpired, but going to speak up here because Suwa raises an interesting point. The fetus had type B blood. That is an important detail that is clearly going to make itself known later on, but I thought I'd just remind everyone of that fact. But I'm sure Suya has already come to the same conclusions as I did. Suwa took a breath. He appeared to have grown weary from talking continuously. Not to mention the fact that he must have been nervous at speaking in front of so many of his seniors, while Ban pretty much sits lazily at the back of the room. Unfortunately, Suwa, you have 2 more cases to go through.
次に第3の事件、丸山町貼り付け殺人事件です。
Now here we go. After a second, the displayed slide changed to a photo of the staking crime scene.
これが現場写真です。事件発生は9月29日。被害者は太田久志、56歳、都東大学教授。
Now that is interesting. And by that I mean the photo of the 3rd victim, Hisashi Ota. You'll actually notice that though he is dead and impaled, there are far less stakes in his body than we, and by we I of course mean Takumi Nishijo, had seen on the night of the 3rd incident. Now, as far as Takumi was concerned, the victim was completely covered from head to toe with all these stakes, and basically nothing more than bloody giblets by that point. Yet this photo clearly shows a very different picture, which again leads credence to the theory, or possibly the reality, that what Takumi witnessed was in fact a delusion of sorts. Unfortunately, his case is not helped by the fact that he himself actually bore witness, albeit indirectly, but
第一発見者は現場のすぐ近くのアパートに住む男性。被害者の死因は絞殺でした。殺害された後で10本程度の釘を使って貼り付けにされていました。
And we have yet another revelation, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently the victim was not killed by the stakes themselves, but instead strangled to death.
見ての通り、遺体には外傷はほとんどありません。
Again, almost no external wounds, completely at odds with what Takumi had witnessed.
釘についても貼り付けは一部肉体を貫通しているものもありましたが、基本的には衣服を通して貼り付けられている状態です。マスコミでは貼り付け、血の惨劇などと謳われてますが、出血は全くなし。
So maybe Takumi's imagination, not to mention the way in which the story regarding the 3rd incident has been described, played into his imaginations after all.
釘はドイツのクロイツナーゲル社が販売している特徴的な長い十字架のような杭です。
Interesting. So they're actually able to trace the manufacturers of the stakes themselves. I'm actually genuinely surprised.
犯人が十字架型をあえて選んだということから、宗教的な側面からも捜査を進めてます。
Yeah. Well, I suppose the police had no choice but to sort of follow that angle, but
事件の起きた21時から21時半の間に現場周辺で壁に杭を打ちつける音が数十分続いていたという証言が複数得られました。
Interesting. So other people's statements are differing from the actual crime scene as well.
被害者の死亡推定時刻がほぼそれと同じ時間であることから、おそらく被害者は現場かそのすぐ近くで殺害されたと思われます。
Believe it or not, adventurers, this is actually very pertinent information.
また信憑性は怪しいですが、事件現場で私立水明学園の女生徒を見たという証言も上がってます。
And there is Takami's testimony there, crazed though it was. But yeah, the fact remains is that Takami did see Rimi there as well. So until that little tidbit is finally resolved and put to bed once and for all, that's still going to linger.
最後に井の頭線渋谷駅トイレ殺人事件、通称ヴァンパイア事件です。事件発生は10月10日、遺体発見は午前5時半ごろ、駅員が発見しました。被害者の身元は今のところ不明、身元を示すような遺留品は一切ありませんでした。
So the police weren't able to identify him.
死亡推定時刻は前日の午前10時から午後6時の間。遺体の血液は全て抜かれており、まるでミイラのような状態で放置されていました。
Complete examination.
ご存知の通り、この写真が何者かによって撮影され、遺体発見より15分ほど前にインターネットのオークションに出品されており、
As he listened to Suwa's explanation, Ban clicked his tongue. It is entirely possible that whoever took the photo might actually be the New Gen killer themselves, or perhaps an accomplice. This suggested that death was becoming something of a fashion. For in each of these incidents, the method of murder has always been different, but always been in a very macabre, gruesome fashion. As if whoever is responsible for New Gen is trying to make some kind of statement. Although exactly what kind of statement that is presently unknown, even with all of the information and evidence thus far. But we actually learned quite a bit of information, and we're on to Chapter 4, D-Sword. Science City was a pair of buildings located to the near south of Shibuya's pedestrian scramble. And I'm taking it that we're once again back with good old Takami, now that he's finally come to grips with everything that's happened. But with that transition, that brings an end to this episode of Let's Play Chaos Head. And when we return, adventurers, perhaps Takumi Nishijo has begun to see Rimi Sakihata as less of an enemy and more of an ally at long last. As always, dear adventurers, until next we meet.